Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to day 73 of the Free to Hope 12 Steps Applied to COVID-19. My name is Edwina B, and you are joining the Recovery Conversation. Free stands for From Recovery, Emerge Empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Having been a part of the Alcoholics Anonymous 12-Step Fellowship for over 30 years, one day at a time. And if God chooses to breathe life into me and wake me up on February the 23rd of 2021, we will be celebrating 31 years, but one day at a time. He also delivered me from COVID-19 devastating impact, effect, and fatality, of course, with 7 other family members. We all contracted COVID-19 in November and December of 2020, but God chose us to survive for the purpose of me sharing with you the benefits and the wisdom of using the 12 spiritual principles regarding COVID-19. Yes, if you want to see what COVID-19 looked like on me, go back to day 1 of 73 when I set before you demonstrating the effects, the impact, and the outcome, as well as the transition, because I definitely don't look like what I've been through. And total transparency has always been my motto. So if you want to see what COVID-19 looks like, please go back to day 1, which is December the 3rd of 2020, and you will see the transition. However, if you want to go back to April the 1st, when I set before you and shared with you as a result of Dr. Scott T. Allison's article in Psychology Today in the March 2020 edition, where he said we can benefit from the wisdom of 12-step programs dealing with COVID-19 during the month of April of 2020. And look where we are now. COVID-19 is still kicking butt. But I thank God that even though I had the information using the 12-step program in all of my affairs, I did not use it regarding COVID-19, and therefore I contributed to contracting it and infecting my fellow family members as young as 2 years old to 78 years old. And so now, having survived it by the grace of God, I sit before you during this morning recovery conversation to share with you my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom, my bad choices, my bad decisions regarding COVID-19, and how these 12 spiritual principles have restored me to sanity. So first, I want to give homage to our Creator, who breathed life into me this morning, who breathed life into you this morning, who woke you up this morning, who woke me up this morning. It wasn't the alarm clock. It wasn't the dog. It wasn't the sun. It was our Creator. He said, rise and breathe. This morning, I got in touch with while we are yet sleeping, our Creator allows us to continue to breathe. But we also know with this COVID-19, some of us did not wake up this morning, will not wake up this morning, cannot wake up this morning, are on their dying bed this very second. Those who are suffering from COVID-19, those who are intervening on behalf of those with COVID-19, jeopardizing their own lives and the lives of their loved ones. And then there are those who we need to pray for as well, who are still in denial, who are still defiant, who are still rebellious. And I'm talking about me, because that's how I was before I contracted COVID-19. So we want to give homage to our Creator and to the entire human race as we collectively, simultaneously deal with this knee-bowing experience. And the only source that's available for help is the Creator himself. because he knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this pandemic. And so for a moment of silence for just 30 seconds, give homage to our Creator who breathed life into us this morning, and to pray for all our fellow human beings. Join me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of every human being, in whatever situation they are in, allow me to say thank you for joining me in 30 seconds with a moment of silence. That's what we do in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes. And if it's God's will, on February the 23rd of 2021, we will be celebrating 31 years, one day at a time, for my disease of alcoholism, drug addiction, and all associated behaviors, but now applying them to COVID-19. Yes. And one of the things that I get in touch with is that this is a new day. Even though we're in a new year and a new month, this is a new day. As described in our 12-step program, every day is a holiday, and every day can be a happy new day if we apply the 12 spiritual principles, and every day can be a beautiful day if we practice the CDC suggestions regarding COVID-19, washing our hands, wearing a mask, social distancing, contact tracing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated where appropriate. And so for that, I am truly, truly grateful. But it's my goal, and it is my duty, my obligation, and my responsibility to share with you how my defiance, my rebellioususness, my stubbornness, my self-centeredness helped me to contract COVID-19 and infect 7 other family members. So to God be the glory. So I want to go and share with you and give acknowledgement to my sponsors. Even though this information is free, we want to acknowledge those who believe in the cause, who want to get the word out, and to help us spread the information that we do recover. All right. So let me add this as well as this and bring it up. My sponsors are Free to Hope, from Recovery Emerge Empowered, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Free to Hope, LLC. My other sponsor is Women Do Hall Transportation Services, LLC. My crown that you see I wear every day is produced by Mr. C's Barbershop here in Wilmington, Delaware. And my attire, and particularly my Afrocentric attire, comes from Morgan's of Delaware, as well as Lady T at Morgan's of Delaware. And in addition to those sponsors, I have another sponsor called Divine Light. And if you know anything about my story and about the story of Alcoholics Anonymous, you know that the 12-step program is a result of a conversation with Dr. Carl Jung, Dr. Bob, and Bill W. that says we who suffer from the disease of alcoholism need spiritual experience to create a spiritual awakening that will increase spiritual maturity and ultimately have that spiritual transformation to obtain a psychic change. And so Divine Light is the organization, nonprofit, that provides a recovery treatment program and supportive housing. And as you can see, I wear their mask, and I also believe in wearing the mask of any of my sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor me, please follow the information that's on the screen. It's free to the public, right? But sponsors are welcome to support the cause and advertise their businesses. Contact me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com or 302-690-6679. Cash App $free to hope to make your donation contribution, right? So that we can increase our platform and save as many lives as possible, one at a time, one family at a time, one culture at a time, one community, one city, one state, one country. And if we do this simultaneously, we can have an impact in stopping the perpetuation of COVID-19. Okay, so let me take this off because I'm here by myself. But you better believe when I meet you, I got a mask on. And then if you don't, I'm going to ask you, do you want one? And then if you say no, I'm going to distance myself for you and pray for you, okay? So I mentioned that the reason why I started these podcasts on the 12th step was as a result of the article by Dr. Scott T. Allison. So let me bring that up for review real quickly. And we said that as a result of this article, how wisdom of the 12-step programs can help get us through April of 2020. That's when we were first asked to be on lockdown, not in prison, but some people say, it felt like prison and still may. But he exercised and pointed out and described 7 points taken from an Al-Anon 12-step program approach using the same 12 spiritual principles. 1, letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections, and service to others, right? And as a result of that, I want to introduce you to the 12 steps. The reason why repetition has been emphasized is because in a 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Love Anonymous, Workaholics Anonymous, now COVID-19 Anonymous, is that repetition must be done on a regular basis because we never know when a student will appear when a student is ready and the teacher needs to appear, or when a student needs to go to the next level so that the teachers can appear. So the 12 steps not applied to alcohol, drugs, or gambling, but to COVID-19, and they read as such. We admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all our defects of character, which is the recovery principle we are on. Started yesterday and will continue throughout today. 7 is humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 9, made a direct amends, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of this message, we try to carry it to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And so as you can see with the wisdom that can be obtained as a result of embracing, learning, analyzing, dissecting, applying, and practicing these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature so that we can deal with any and all physical conditions, but now from a spiritual angle, like we do in Alcoholics Anonymous, and that we apply these principles in all our affairs. And that is one reason why I thank my higher power for preparing me to sit before you with the experience of being in recovery from alcoholism and drug addiction, prostitution, and all that, as well as being a survivor of COVID-19 with 7 other family members. So it is a great new day, a happy new day. Why? Because we can breathe. We can smell, we can taste, we can see, we can feel, we can hear, but the goal is to listen. All right? Listen. And when we listen to learn, we learn to listen, then it implies action needs to be taken as a result of listening. So if you want to be a part of the solution, and not a part of the problem, ask yourself, are you in the prevention mode of COVID-19, intervention mode of COVID-19, or the restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you being proactive, reactive, inactive, or responsible when it comes to COVID-19? Only you can ask that question, answer that question, all right? So let's get to our continued discussion of the 12 steps. You know that we have been talking about the transformation that needs to occur. So let's see what we have gone over and addressed these last 5 recovery principles. 1, we broke it down. Admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. Should be LIVES. I'll make sure I change that. But we have to take this step 100%. Total acceptance without any reservations. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and that only means soundness of mind. Taking the CDC suggestions, tangible evidence, experience of others expressed in groups, your higher power, all can restore us to soundness of mind regarding COVID-19. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And we ask if that power or powers greater than you are working for your good and in your best interest and helping you to not contract COVID-19 or give you suggestions to help you from infecting other people. Why wouldn't we want to keep making that decision to turn our will and our lives over to them? And then when we went to recovery principle number 4, this is where the gas hits the road, or whatever you call it. The gas pedal hit the road. Made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. When, where, and how were your character defects formulated? Going back as far as you can remember, when you became selfish, defiant, stubborn, egotistical, prideful. When did those character defects start? By whom and where? And we described those in my example of the 4th step. And once we identified them, we went to recovery principle number 5, where we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We select a person who will not co-sign our stuff, but help us get to the core of those character defects, similar to an iceberg that you see on top of the water, but underneath that water, that iceberg is wide and deep. So step 5 helps us with another human being get to the exact nature. Ask that you be totally honest, emptying out that garbage can, emptying out that trash can, having the experience of that diarrhea, when it comes out, we know it's painful, but when it's out, we feel so free. So our 5th step is very similar to that. We don't want to leave anything out. All right. And so we acknowledge and we accept whatever we find, and most of the time it is fear. But we learned the acronym for fear is face everything and recover. So let's get to our topic for today. And I shared with you how my fourth step revealed my resentment against COVID-19 and myself, but how through another person I got to the exact nature of that defect of character, right? Against COVID-19 and against myself. So we recognize that fear can be used in a negative way or in a positive and spiritual way. So once I found out that my resentment was masked by anger, uncertainty, confusion, frustration, disbelief, and ultimately fear against COVID-19, as well as resentment against myself, was camouflaged by stupidity, defiance, rebellion, selfishness, self-centeredness, regrets, remorse. But the exact nature was fear. So now I have been working towards facing everything and recover, as well as being the example and the attraction to my loved ones and those around me. And as a result of getting to the exact nature, now we are on recovery principle number 6 that says, now that we have identified the character defect, what do we do now that we also know what the exact nature is? Okay, so step 6 says we're entirely ready to have God remove all defects of character. If you want to put a power greater than you, your higher power, but we're entirely ready to have God remove all defects of character. And a quote by Charles DeBoer says, the important thing is, it should say important, the important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. Did you hear that? To be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become at any moment. So I shared with you yesterday how with Jason Waller, whose template that I've been using for since April the 1st, really. And with that information, so go to Jason Waller, JASONWAHLER, and extract his breakdown of all the steps, and you will see for me that, and for him and other people in recovery, that we get to reveal those character defects and also acknowledge and accept the exact nature. But once we do that, we want to become entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And so if you need help with identifying character defects, you could use my example, or you can start with the 7 deadly sins of pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Others may include anger, resentment, dishonesty, defiance, rebellion. How about you naming some of your character defects that you would like to be removed, huh? And once we get to the exact nature, which is fear, we should and want to become entirely ready to have God, as we understand him, remove any and all character defects that prevent us from being of service to him and being of service to our mankind. And so when you think about having COVID-19 and this pandemic that's going around, then you want to prevent yourself from getting it, as well as not infecting other family members. So when I was defiant and rebellious and stubborn, right, and took this COVID-19 for granted, and when I had that attitude that I'm invincible, it won't happen to me, but after contracting it and infecting my family members, oh boy, did I have a rude awakening that brought us about a spiritual hunger, even though I knew I had the information, but I did not apply it. Which is why these character defects and the exact natures are so crucial. And step 6 says, and I'm entirely ready to have you, God, remove any and all things to make me make decisions based on soundness of mind. Choices based on soundness of mind, right? Decisions based on soundness of mind, right? And I have been restored to sanity. So I constantly wear a mask. I wash my hands. I social distance. When I had a birthday party for my third oldest granddaughter yesterday at Crafty Crab, they set up the tables where it was every other table, so many at a table. We wore our masks the whole time until we ate. Then we put those masks back on. We stayed separated. What? I am taking this thing seriously. So it is possible by using common sense, soundness of mind, right? And as a result, I've been tested, obviously, and I got the vaccination. So let me share with you that I did my own research, did my own homework, asked the doctor a whole lot of questions, and was taught that the vaccine shot only decreases the severity of the symptoms should you contract COVID-19. It doesn't prevent you from contracting COVID-19. It decreases the severity of the symptoms. So if the severity of the symptoms are decreased, there's a great possibility I won't be hospitalized. And there's an even greater possibility I won't die. And that's why I got the vaccination shot and encourage you to, age appropriate, because I want to live. I don't want to go through the symptoms that I had, not being able to breathe to my fullest capacity. My taste buds were changed. My smelling capability had decreased, right? My whole body ached like a toothache. And for hearing the experience of others, they were mild symptoms, So I'm taking the vaccine shot because I don't want the severity of COVID-19 symptoms if I don't have to go through it. And taking that vaccine shot will help decrease the severity of those symptoms, decrease me from being hospitalized, and decrease the possibility of me dying. As individuals who have lost loved ones to COVID-19 and ask what they would do differently if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, and ask them, are they in line to take the vaccine? So I'm from Missouri, and I'm going to show you that, listen, I took the vaccine shot here. My start of getting the vaccine shot.
All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it? All righty. Put your Band-Aid on. We'll watch you for about 15 minutes. Okay. And then we'll check on you and we'll give you a date. In about a month, we'll call you. How about that? In a month? Yeah. All right. 28 days. All righty.
So you see, I am from Missouri, not literally, but figuratively. I tell you, boy, these dentures, what? You may be from Missouri, but you may not be from Missouri, but you get my drift. It's the show me state. So I want to show you the transition. That's why I sat before you on December the 3rd, with no dentures, dripping with sweat, right? Slimmed face, right? That achiness that was on my face. But I sat before you each and every day up until day 73. I learned to take off all those masks, and put on the mask that is designed to save my life and the lives of others. So what you see now is representing my tradition, my culture, my heritage, my crown. This makeup is representing royalty, But you better believe I put on any and all masks, right? So that I can share with you that we are in this in this together. I don't know what's wrong with these teeth this morning, but that's what I mean. I am transparent. I don't care. My goal is to save my behind and not my face. In recovery, it says that some of us must die in order for some of us to live. And you know why? Because of those character defects. You know why? Because people choose to be the way they are, no matter how harmful it is to them or to others. They like relishing in their character defects. But guess what? On February the 22nd of 1990, underneath that parked car, listen, in the streets of Philadelphia, after trying to commit suicide, the rapes, the beat-ups, the set people up, family disowning me, children ashamed of me, how at the age of 34 did I get underneath that parked car? And I hollered out to a God that I did not know to take me out this life or show me a better way. And one day at a time for nearly 31 years, I've been set on that path and addressing any and all of my character defects that develop those negative attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, and actions, and getting to the exact nature and presenting to this God that I didn't know myself like an onion, whatever it is that prevents me from being of service to you and service to others, please remove whatever it is. Take away all those things that made me who I was, who I became, that affected my life and others in a negative, destructive way. Remove them. I'm ready. And as a result, that 6th step says this step will determine and separate the men from the boys and the women from the girls. Because when we embark upon recovery principle number 6, we are asking our Creator to remove any and all things in your time and in your way. I present myself to you as I am, for you to remove anything and everything that will stop you from using me to help myself and to help others, particularly regarding this COVID-19. All right, so let's get back into our assignment for today, this conversation where we talked about these 7 deadly sins, and I shared with you what some of them were for me, right? And what we want to do is to go back to Jason Waller's breakdown. And we did this yesterday in terms of setting the foundation of how we acknowledge and accepted these deadly sins and 7 deadly sins and other character defects, and got to the exact nature where most of them are motivated by fear. And so in setting the foundation, we shared with you Jason Waller's breakdown, but we said we're going to apply it now to COVID-19. This is the foundation. This is the preparation, right, of you embarking on recovery principle number 6, the need, the purpose, the benefit, right? The transformation that could happen. And what I read to you yesterday was Jason Waller's, him applying in his disease of alcoholism and drug addiction. And I shared with you yesterday that today we're going to apply that same foundation, that same information, but replacing it with COVID-19. Okay? And it's the same thing people do in Gamblers Anonymous, Love Anonymous, Al-Anon Anonymous. They change the area of focus. So that's what we want to do. And let's get started. All right. So, like I shared with the quote from Charles Du Bois, the important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. I was and contributed to contracting COVID-19. That's who I was, right? But as a result of applying these spiritual principles, and particularly this step ready for him to remove all character defects, I have become a person that is demonstrating, spiritual information, spiritual transformation, spiritual maturity, making spiritual choices and decisions to combat this COVID-19 physical condition. So that quote is important, to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. And demonstrating at my granddaughter's birthday party shows what we have become. All of my family members wore masks. All of my family members practiced social distancing. All of my family member use hand sanitizer, right? All of my family members have been tested. I have been the only one who have taken the vaccine, but guess what? Age appropriate, they will follow if they choose to. This is a personal journey, but if we apply these 12 spiritual principles, we know that we are being used. God uses broken, shattered, and wounded people like me and like you to rescue shattered, wounded, and broken people like me and like you. So what we were, using these 12 spiritual principles and practicing the CDC suggestions, can you imagine who you could become? You could become a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. All right, so we're going to take our time and we're going to dissect this foundation as to the importance of spiritual principle number 6, the benefit, what you can expect, the challenges, the outcome, right? The process, and changing our old attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, and decisions that were used in a destructive and negative way, incorporating this new information so that we can do what Donna Lawrence says, and acknowledging that we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. We are a spiritual being walking this natural experience. So these 12 spiritual principles allows us to deal with any and everything on this earthly journey from a spiritual angle, dealing with these physical conditions. Okay, so he says, step 6 of COVID-19 replacing is all about the removal of what doesn't work in our lives anymore. Being defiant, being rebellious, being stubborn, being self-centered, being jealous, right? Being a liar, being dishonest. It doesn't work for us anymore. It doesn't, right? It says, since we have completed step 4 and step 5, we have plenty of things that were revealed to us about what we need to get rid of. I needed to get rid of that attitude of being invincible regarding COVID-19. I needed to get rid of that defiant and rebellious nature regarding COVID-19. Once I found out what the character defect was and getting to the exact nature of not what's wrong with me, but what happened to me as a result of having that character defect and getting to the exact nature, what happened. And once we acknowledge and accept what happened, then we can use these 12 spiritual principles to correct them and develop a spiritual transformation, spiritual maturity, and apply spiritual solutions to these earthly problems, okay? So now it's time to allow a higher power, whoever you choose. In the 12-step program of AA, we don't demand that you believe in nothing, right? But in my process, like I told you, I came into the fellowship over just about 31 years ago, knowing of a punishing God, not a loving and caring God, but as a result of embracing, utilizing, and practicing these 12 spiritual principles, my higher power now is called God, the Creator, the force, the universe, okay? It says now it's time to allow a higher power to cut out these attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors at the source. So when I talked about being rebellious regarding COVID-19 and being defiant, that was the iceberg that was on top of the water. But I needed to get to the core that's underneath that water with that iceberg, the width and the depth, so that I can get to the exact nature of the core, so that this higher power, who I choose to call God, can cut them out. Yes. So it's time to allow a higher power. You hear that word? Allow. Allow. Our stubbornness, our self-centeredness can come back just like that. And that's why that quote said, at any given moment, we can sacrifice being self-centered to God-centered. In any moment, to sacrifice our will to what God's will is, particularly if it's going to save your life and save the lives of others, okay? It says you get to partner up with your higher power and make a firm decision to let go of the character defects and flaws that have been ruling your life and seem to have you hell-bent on self-destruction. So if you were anything like me, I am the great I am. I. It's all about I. I got myself underneath that parked car 31 years ago with my decisions and my choices and thinking I know what's best for me. But guess what? I could not remove myself from underneath that parked car. Our higher power says, guess what? You as human beings get yourselves into a lot of stuff, a lot of mess, right? And when you have that knee-bound experience, hopefully you will cry out and say, help me, help me. And that's what I did. Whoever they say you are, take me out this life or show me a better way. That's when I partnered up with this God that I didn't know, but through the process of embarking on these 12 spiritual principles, I know what partnering up with my higher power means. Because in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, it says, no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. God could and would if he was sought. And so you better believe underneath that parked car, the flashbacks of the rapes, the setups, trying to commit suicide, all that stuff. I put myself in those situations. And by me crying out for help, I partnered with my higher power. And the same thing with COVID-19. When I found out I contracted COVID-19, oh my God. And then when I found out that members of my family, particularly my grandchildren as young as 2 years old, oh, yes, yes, yes. Humiliated, stupidity, being self-defiant, self-centered, right? Rebellious. I contributed to contracting COVID-19 and infecting my family members. So I was just partnering up with myself. Are you doing the same thing? And as a result of contracting it and he allowing us to breathe and survive, you better believe I'm partnering up with my higher power. And make a firm decision. There's no ifs, ands, and buts anymore. Just like I had a made-up mind with my alcoholism and drug addiction, they say recovery is for those who want it, not need it. Well, guess what? I wanted it, and I'm getting it one day at a time. I know I need to be doing these things for COVID-19, but now I want to, and I am, and I will continue to make the right decisions because I'm partnering up with my higher power who is going to reveal to me, Edwina, you starting to smell yourself. Edwina, you need to get back on board. Edwina, come on now. That's what a partner does, unconditionally, right? And so when it says make a firm decision, not no wishy-washy, no, a firm decision. Just like we made that decision in the third step, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. If I've been sober for one day at a time, nearly 31 years, I want to stay COVID-free, for more than 73 days, right? So I make that firm decision, right, to let go of whatever character defects that prevented me from doing the next right thing, not doing my thing, washing your hands, wearing the mask, social distancing, contact tracing, yes, getting tested, and ultimately getting that vaccination, right? So firm decision. So remove any and everything that's going to prevent me from doing the next right thing, okay? And we recognize that as a result of those old attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that have been ruling our lives as far back as we can remember up until even now, we want them removed so that we can save our lives and help save the lives of others, okay? He says the sixth step can bring about significant and very noticeable change when it comes to the thought patterns and behaviors that have been with us for a long time. See, that's why I know I've been prepared to sit before you. Oh, yes, I do. It is not Edwina's will to sit before you. Edwina, before she got into recovery, thought she was all that, the bag of chips, and as my doctor, Christopher Allen Bullock, my pastor says, and the dip. That attitude of, no. When we do our fourth step, we get in touch with the patterns. We get in touch with the information that pushes our buttons, that trigger us, right? And so that those thoughts and those patterns and those behaviors as a result of that thought pattern, right, have been with us for so long. That's why people want to know why people don't wear a mask. People want to know, why don't you want to wash your hands? Why go around? Now you know why. Now you know why you still possess them. Now I know why I continue to have to practice these principles, because guess what? They all have not yet been removed, but I am work in progress, but I'm aware of them. I want to change. These steps offer the solution when I even fall short and want to take off that mask and don't wash my hands. The Edwina is coming back, but I need to partner up with my higher power who said, no, Edwina, do the next right thing. And so when we talk about the sixth step can bring about significant and very noticeable change when it comes to the thought patterns and behaviors that have been with us for a long time. Well, if we don't become entirely ready to have God remove all those negative thoughts and patterns and behaviors, then we might succumb to the fatality of COVID-19. Do you want to die from COVID-19? Do you want to infect your loved ones and be responsible for causing them to die? You don't. And guess what? You don't have to. But doing these 12 spiritual principles and presenting them to the solution by challenging your old and existing mindset. your attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, patterns, which can be destructive regarding COVID-19. And why? It's because of those character defects that's been with us all our lives. But now we have an opportunity to have them removed. So would you want them removed? Yes. Okay. So here, the next statement, he says, it doesn't happen overnight, obviously. And there is nothing like perfection when working the 12 steps of COVID-19. It's about making a commitment and being content with patient improvement. So let's go back to the first words of that sentence. It doesn't happen overnight, obviously. And how we get in touch with that in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, when we share our experience, our strength, and our hope, we realize that the character defects of concealing those secrets, those wrongs, the things we said, the things we did, by concealing them, we couldn't deal with them, and therefore those inner feelings that were generated by negative choices and decisions caused us to want to suppress them even more, forget them by taking a drink, taking a drug, going shopping. It didn't happen overnight. It was a transition. It was a process. It was a progression. I did not wake up one day and say I wanted to become an alcoholic, a drug addict, or a prostitute. No, it was a progression of those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors formulated by those wrongs, those things I said and did that were negative, that hurt people. And so just like with this COVID-19, when we first heard about it, it was out there. But look how it has progressed. Now, how have your attitude, ideas, and behaviors regarding COVID-19 changed? You see that the numbers that are reported are going up, up, up. Yes, we don't know when it's going to be over, only the Creator. But during the meantime, we can be a part of the solution by applying these 12 recovery spiritual principles and addressing our character defects that are rooted in fear. That's the exact nature. So we need to have this higher power remove any and everything that prevents us from taking this COVID-19 seriously, from using the suggestions, to encourage our loved ones to do the same thing. If our character defects prevent that, then have them become willing to be removed, And it's not going to happen overnight. But they say in a 12-step program, if you do something for 30, 60, 90 days, you can't form a habit. So you better believe, I always bring this up. I done got so used to wearing the mask in the car, outside the car, in the house, okay? And one night I forgot to take it off. One of my grandchildren said, Grandma, you going to take the mask off? You're getting ready to go to bed? I said, oh, okay, Creatures of habit now. I wear the mask. I'm conscious and making the decision to wash my hands. Social distancing, right? Not going out to public places if I don't have to. And when I do, I put on the mask, wash my hands, social distancing, right? If needed, get tested. Already got the first vaccine shot, waiting for them to contact me to get the second one. So that's what I mean, that it was a process. It didn't happen overnight, and it won't happen overnight. But the fact that you are honest, open-mindedness, and willingness, which is the how of the 12 steps, they are the 3 indispensable principles. Honesty for H, O for open-mindedness, W for willingness. Are you willing after we have identified the character defects that keep you from making sound decisions, sane decisions regarding COVID-19 and the protection of yourself and others. If you have identified what those character defects are by being honest, and you have become open-minded, and now you are becoming willing to listen, then you should be doing something different. Okay? And that's the whole purpose of these 12 spiritual principles. So once we have identified what those character defects are, have gotten to the exact nature, we present ourselves like an onion to our higher power and say, remove all of it. Remove all of it. I don't want to die from COVID-19. I don't want to contract COVID-19. I don't want to infect my loved ones. I don't want to infect you. So whatever stands in the way of my character defects, please remove them. Remove them. I am entirely ready. Because this moment, this hour, this day is not promised to no one. And therefore, I don't have time to waste. I don't have time to be putting things off. No, I need to get to stepping with these 12 spiritual principles. Woo! Okay. All right. So tomorrow we're going to apply the same foundation to more information that's described by Jason Waller, JASONWAHLER.com. And the article by Dr. Scott T. Allison on using the Al-Anon 12-step approach to combating COVID-19. All right. So if it's God's will that we are awakened tomorrow for day 74, that he breathed life into us on day 74, we will be reunited. And I can't wait, right? Until then, be safe, be safe, be safe. I want to end with acknowledging my sponsors again and encourage you that if you want to be a sponsor, please inbox me or contact me via the email or phone, and you too can be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. And all you have to do is to cash at me, $free to hope, or call me or email me. The information is free, but I want to increase our platform so we can save more lives. Free to Hope, Women Do Hall Transportation Services, Mr. C's Barbershop, Morgans of Delaware, Lady T at Morgans of Delaware, and Divine Light Inc. Your organization can be listed here as well. And if you have a mask that I can wear, I will promote that as well. And so I want to end by sharing that I got the vaccine shot before I close out, just to encourage you to do your homework and also to get vaccinated.
I think I got some.
All right, got it?
Let's start again.
Woo! All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it?
All right. And so until tomorrow, and if it's God's will, be safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Social distance. Contact tracing. Get tested and get vaccinated. To God be the glory. Okay. Here is my closing page.